Dude, my wife has a half day today, Thursday, and then tomorrow they're off, and then they're off until like the 3rd or 4th for Christmas break. I don't remember getting that many days off when I was a kid.
I don't recall, but I know my niece and nephew are off also, and I think a lot of people are off today. I don't know why they're off Friday. Well, I guess Friday makes sense. But
Friday makes sense for Christmas Eve, but what about not Thursday?
That's true. Did you know, and I heard this fact somewhere, that more kids lose their virginity during Christmas break than they do during the summer? I don't know if this was a health class thing. My wife teaches 2nd grade.
I'm
not talking about your wife's 2nd graders, though. You never know anymore with these kids these days. God. They're not even xenials. They're like the next edition. They're like, it goes back to A. They become assholes because it goes back to A, right? After Z is A.
Oh, man.
So they don't go by assholes?
Are we recording?
I don't know. What is after xenials?
I don't know.
The world may never know. Anyway, welcome back to RAWtalk. This is episode number 31. So happens to be the final RAWtalkerson of the year. And we're recording it right after, well, technically 3 hours or so after.
They don't know.
I know.
Don't give it away. The secrets.
We're doing it because, just like Steven's wife, Steven gets off all of next week until the 4th.
Yeah, but I'm taking vacation time.
You shouldn't have to take vacation time.
Free time.
You shouldn't have to take vacation time.
No, I shouldn't. That's actually right.
Breaking
I'm just
going
to get the week paid off, and then I'll use my vacation time another time.
Steven should get the week off. Dan, not as much. Do you want it? Like, should it be that way?
Is that like Steven gets free vacation?
Is that a good incentive?
I don't know.
I mean, you guys don't work it every year anyway.
Well, no, but that's part of my vacation time. I save my vacation time for that week specifically.
Well, what if you had other vacation time? Would you use it?
I do have other vacation time.
Do you use it?
Yeah.
Do I like when you use it?
No.
Do I ever complain? I try to leave you alone for those weeks that you go away.
You are very good, yeah. I will say you're pretty much, you don't even call really during that entire time.
I mean, you should probably have the week off anyway, unless we have a major project to get done. I was talking to the boss.
And we also work our ass off to get to that point right before any time I take vacation.
Well, but
There's been vacations that I've actually worked. Remember, I had to do the DA50 real world review that one time?
You should be working all the time.
Yeah,
that's just how it is. 100%. But I was thinking this today. I was thinking, like, do I give you guys off for the lead up to Christmas? Like, do I do that, or do I continue to have to use your off time?
I think most people use their vacation time. I don't think it's just like a freebie.
Oh, really?
But I mean, hey, if you want to start the new norm.
I don't know. I was thinking. I didn't know what to. I don't know. I was thinking. Anyway, a few house cleaning notes from last episode about the artist. About the artist I was talking about was Marcel Duchamp. Marcel Duchamp. He did some very impressionistic or interesting things, and he's the one with the door where you put your eyes through the door. And I asked what year he did that, and she told me it was like 1944, 1940 to 46 or so. So I actually think that the creativity of that, he sent after his death, or with this whole thing, it's literally a room you go into. He sent drawings, these architectural drawings for exactly how to build this room
to scale
and where to place everything. Yeah, to show that the perspective that he wanted. And that was kind of cool because it was 1940s, 44 and 46, and it's a different form of art. And he was looking through it was kind of interesting. He's the one who also did the painting with all the bachelors at the bottom and the bride at the top, and the bachelors just go in circle with masturbation. And she said that those were his words, that he said it's about masturbation. And I was like, I guess if he said it,
so there's no interpreting it. Yeah.
Instead of other people saying that that's what it was, he actually did. And then the other person with the rape picture was Charles Degas. I think it's Charles Degas or whatever Degas' first name is. And I think other people called it a rapey photo painting. I said it wasn't, but maybe that's like a hashtag Me Too thing where you never believe the woman. And I'm not saying I don't believe the woman, but you can't believe the woman or the man because no one's talking. It's a painting.
That's why every artist should just say like what it is. What were they thinking when they painted this?
Good call, Steven, because guess who just said whose body is a wonderland?
John Mayer.
John Mayer just announced whose body is a wonderland.
Whose is it?
It was not Jennifer Love Huge Tits. It was his first girlfriend when he was 16. He said when he looked back when he was 21, he was talking about an underage girl, but he was underage at the same time.
Oh, then it's okay.
No, it's okay. Totally. It's not about Jennifer Love Hewitt, which she was so hot in that movie back then before she stopped making movies. I was like,
what was that one movie that you're talking about?
Where they Parent Trap? Was it Parent Trap?
You're talking about that one. That was like one of her first movies when they're in the basement, right?
Yeah, I was like the same age as her in that. So when she's a
little hottie in that one.
When she's like making out, I'm like, look at her. I'm like, hey, girl.
House Arrest. It was House Arrest in 1996. That one kid, Kyle Howard was in it. He was in like every 90s movie.
Don't know who that is.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Pollak. Got a bunch of big names in that movie.
Was that the movie I liked? Was it
and
Parent Trap?
Then you had Can't Hardly Wait, too. That was like her big role in 1998.
Who'd she marry?
I don't know.
I don't think she married. But John Mayer also is no longer dating anymore, he said. Since going sober 6 years ago from alcohol, he doesn't find the need to date women.
Because he's sober?
Just men. Yeah, he was on drugs. I guess he was. Why are you blinking at me, camera? He was he was, I guess, alcoholic, and he also was like a womanizer.
So he's only attractive to women when he's drunk or something? I don't get it.
Well, he says he doesn't have the liquid courage anymore to go up and talk to them. But
he's John Mayer.
But wait, hold on. He could do this. He could be like, nobody ever wanna lie.
What was that one sketch? Was it Jimmy Fallon?
I want to scream at the top of my lungs. Oh, he was drunk that night. I shot him at the prom.
He came into the Q102 pop radio station studios years back. This had to be like 12 years ago. And I remember thinking he has the biggest ears of anyone I've ever seen. Dumbo-sized ears.
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with him drinking? Maybe that's why he drinks?
See, this is the conversation. This is how it usually goes when you're talking. I usually have no idea what you're talking about, and you go on a tangent about something completely different.
I do go on a tangent. I do.
How does it feel?
Should I bring up the breaking news?
Do I know this breaking news?
No, I didn't do breaking news. No. You don't know. I didn't tell you.
What happened?
Well, I was debating buying a Tesla.
Oh.
Well,
You've been debating that for years, right?
I have been, and they were running an incentive, and then they just upped the incentive at the end of the year.
I heard the CEO of Twitter owns that company, right?
No, that guy's a piece of shit. And someone was like, "You would still buy a car with all the things he's been saying?" And I'm like, "Look, I don't agree with the things he's saying. First and foremost."
Well, you're supporting him by buying a Tesla, Jared.
But you also have to look at how many families work there, how many people work at a company like this, and it's more than just the one person. Because when you look back at Kanye, when you look back at Kanye and Yeezys, do you know like 3,000 people were laid off?
Yep. You're not just affecting him; you're affecting the entire company.
Right. And so, you know what Kanye did. I mean, I'm not saying maybe Elon Musk is pretty bad up there with Kanye at this point, but
I mean, he did ban him from Twitter.
Yeah. Well. He also unbanned the other guy from Twitter too, which is a bunch of bullshit. And he just banned a bunch of writers too for saying the truth, and he can't handle it. Twitter, like I say this about Twitter all the time to people, Twitter only matters to the people who think Twitter fucking matters, and that's the news journalists and the politicians really think Twitter holds some clout. It really doesn't. Nobody gives a shit under the age of 30 or even under the age of 25 at this point. What's happening? Yes, people go on Twitter and they look things up and they get information. It's not worth what it's not.
I agree.
Anyway, so I decided to order one.
You did order one.
I wasn't happy though because they got rid of the front sensors on the car in favor of this Tesla Vision, which they're saying that the cameras will be able to talk about parking and all of that, but they haven't shipped that part yet in terms of the software.
So what are you doing with the Porsche and the Lambo and everything else you got?
Well, they'll get pushed back further into the garage.
Oh, okay. Do you have enough room? Because you have the other 7 cars in there.
Yeah, I have enough room in there for at least 5 or 6 cars, at least.
No, but really, what are you gonna do with the Lexus?
The Lexus is getting traded in for traded in towards the car.
Cool.
Because I bought my lease out when the lease was up in March. Mm-hmm. It made no sense to trade a car in because I'd have to get another car somehow, and it was worth more than what I paid. It was worth more than what I owed, and so I'm going to trade. You can trade it directly into Tesla, and I'm waiting for the official price to see if it makes sense. But the basic price that they sent back to start makes sense, because what you have to also remember is when you trade stuff in, like when you trade stuff into Alan's camera, if it brings the price down $5,000 and all you owe is $1,000, you only pay tax on that $1,000. You don't pay tax. I'm not paying tax on the entire car at this point because I'm trading in a car, and that's bringing the price down. So for me, it's going to end up being under like $30,000 for the
nice.
Model Y.
That's where you're going to get the Model Y?
Yeah, I went with
color?
I went with gray. I went with the gray,
light
with black
dark?
Interior. It's darker gray.
Nice.
I didn't like the blue. Plus, I don't think they had any of those available. I didn't like the red because it looks like shit with those 19-inch Gemini wheels. And white, I could have gone with white.
I was going to say, I
thought
feel
the
like
gray was fine.
Yeah, I could see you going white.
The white was fine. The gray's fine. I think the gray looks fine. Black interior's fine. I like a darker interior because it's less reflective on my eyes when I'm driving.
The only thing I don't like about white cars is just it's a lot harder to keep clean.
Yeah, well, my current car is it has that leather, that silverish leather in the Tesla, in the
I mean,
Lexus.
more of the exterior is what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
I just found I have a freaking nail in my back left tire. Brand new tires.
Do you need to go to Diaz Fix-A-Flat?
I know.
Diaz Fix-A-Flat.
Luckily,
$15.
it's right in the middle of the tire.
That's
it's not on
easy
the edge
fix.
of the well.
You gonna take it over?
I mean, I have a local place around here too. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, they just boop, boop.
Yeah, I was driving last night and I'm like, why is my car shaking? And I pull over and my tire is on like 5 psi, pretty much completely flat.
Oh shit! I have a tire pump in my car.
I do too.
Now.
I have an emergency pump in my trunk, and I use that, and it's great.
I've got an emergency pump in my trunk. I know what you're saying. You want to pump it up. So yeah, that's what I decided to do. I just ordered the charger in. The other thing was I wanted to wait until my garage was done. I wanted to wait until.
So you're gonna get a charger installed in the garage?
I'm still going to have a charger installed now, even though they're going to get into demolition and stuff, because...
What does a charger cost?
$350.
Okay.
And then you plugs into the house, powers through the house, and then you get 44 miles, I believe, of charge every hour of charge. So you just leave it in overnight and you're good to go. Plus, being indoors, it's pretty good.
Bills will go up, your electric bill?
Yeah. Electric bill will go up. And it won't skyrocket because it is much less expensive than filling a gas. Like you're looking at filling up for like $8 of electric versus $50 of gas, depending on the price.
65 now, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
My 4-door sedan is like $60 a pop. It's crazy.
I worry about a few things. I worry about everything, and that was like what was holding me back from making a decision. And then I just made the decision. They also give you 10,000 miles of charging at their supercharger network for free.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's hard. I have hard times making certain decisions, and I've been waiting. I've been wanting to do it for a while.
Doesn't your dad have a Tesla?
He has a Model 3. He loves it.
Okay, yeah.
He likes it. So anyway, that's it. We'll move on from there. It's an end of year thing. You got to take delivery before the end of the year.
Okay.
It's also a tax write-off.
So it's free.
It's free. It's basically free. The tax write-off, people. It kind of is. I mean, we use it for work. I mean, I use it for work. When we go on photo shoots.
Yeah, because we have one every day.
We do. I have to drive 3 minutes to work, Steven. Seriously, 3 minutes to work.
It literally is.
All right, this episode is all about your questions.
Yes.
We've got a couple that were submitted via audio, and we have a bunch that were submitted via the text line and also Facebook. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these questions. We're going to answer as many as we can, hopefully in just like an hour-long episode, and this will be the end of the year.
And I just want to preface this whole thing too with there were so many questions that came in via the text line. So we do apologize if we didn't get to it, but just know that we had to go through, I want to say almost like over 100 questions.
Yeah,
easily.
And if yours didn't get picked, blame Steven.
Hey, you picked them all, not me.
Blame Steven. Hashtag blame Steven.
Jared's running the episode as usual. So
no, you picked a bunch. Let's get to the first question. You want me to get to the first question?
Yes, sir.
John Della Hunty. It's hard to question the success of the fro. Is that an adjective? Is a describing word fro? Is that a noun?
Yeah, I would say a noun, yeah.
Mirrors on. Hashtag mirrors on, Steven. The success of the fro. The fro is the most successful.
Read the question.
Ah, shit. The fro, starting in the backyard and ending up in the fro factory. That being said, if you could do it all over, would you have done it differently? Would you have kept the fro knowing it would be part of the character, for lack of a better word, for so long? When people ask me, would I change anything? And I'm not a big fan of revisionist history. I'm not a fan of alternate history. I mean, I love alternate history when it comes to books and movies, but I don't like playing the what if game.
If I could turn back time. Da-na-na.
What would you do?
This is a question for you, not for me.
So I'm not a big fan of revisionist history where you go back and you change things. I think we all end up where we end up through the choices that we make. And if you make the wrong choice or the right choice, that it's okay. And remember what that teacher said, mirrors on, that it's all right if you fail. It's all right to fail, whatever the hell she said. That's why I'm stuck on this teacher. I did like her dress. I still will say it from last week. But anyway, I wouldn't go back and change what I did. Are there things that you would do differently sometimes? There's possibilities. I mean, maybe adding more people, but I would say more people, but then again, it's hard to add new people because at the time I wasn't making a lot of money when I added my first employee. There wasn't a ton of money, but I also, the way that I grew was by having another employee and, going to be looking into doing more of that as we move forward. So would I have kept the hair as long? Yeah, I have no desire to cut my hair. I mean, look at it right now, Steven. Don't these Jewish curls look beautiful?
Oh, 6 to midnight, man.
I love pounding the table every time you say that. What were you going to ask?
I was going to say, I think the biggest thing regarding like employees and adding more is I think it's tough for you to give up control. You really do need to be in total control.
No,
and
I don't want
to do a crazy expanse of the Fronos Photo universe, like say we went like Linus Tech Tip style and hired 50 freaking people, which I still think is mind-blowing. I think you really do need to give up control and have almost like a business manager of some sort running that. I mean, multiple managers.
Breaking news. Breaking news,
Just hired
Steven.
60 people at the Pro Factory.
You didn't know this. I've been thinking about business managers. I have been.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you going to hire one?
No.
Oh.
No, because I don't know how
say.
I don't know how you find a business manager that you bring in. I think it's got to come from internal. I think it's got to come from inside the business already.
So you're appointing yourself as the business manager?
No, there's only one choice, and it's Dan. No, in all seriousness, no, I'm looking inside about business managers. There's
Remember the one
things,
guy from Creative Live, the one producer that we really liked?
He was really good.
I feel like he would be a perfect fit for working with us, getting shit done, organizing everything.
I think you could be a business manager of sorts, as you change into the next chapter of your life.
The only issue with that is I'm trying to play the role of also, production manager, everything, like editor.
But that's where expanding comes into play. I've started to lay some groundwork on trying to find the right people for, to take some work off of your plate in some sense as you transition to being a woman or something.
Yeah, and that's the goal.
No, I mean, the point is that you bring other people in. And when I say editors, like actual editors, and they don't need to be here. They don't need to be here anymore. They can be anywhere in the world.
But they do need to understand our specific workflow, the brand in terms of branded content and how we run things, our workflow with Dropbox. It's not as easy as just hiring a random editor and being like, all right, edit.
But I think that, my ideal thing would be, we've been very busy as of late in terms of filming, and the stuff that we've been filming is 30 or 40 minutes long by the time it's done, which takes a lot of time. But there is certain content that would be great, like user guides that are an hour and a half, if someone else could do those and get it to 80% and then get it back to us.
Extreme time-consuming stuff like that, even, and a comparison, whatever else.
The comparison videos.
Yep.
But that would be great because it would free us up to film together, do stuff.
But you have to understand that the comparison videos, we are constantly referencing Fronos Photo videos that me or Dan have already edited. So you really need to know the back catalog of Fronos Photo to get a proper video. Now, user guides are different because it's just basically us telling you how to set the menu up of a certain camera, straight up multi-camming edit session, nothing crazy. So,
but they could also get it to a point where it still saves you 3 days of editing to then pick it up and polish it off.
Yes and no. I will say sometimes it makes it even harder to start when someone made a mess of an edit.
All right. Do you want to move on to the next? Move on to an audio question?
Yes, sir.
Why are we still taking pictures in JPEG if we have a new protocol that allows for higher quality in HEIF and smaller files, and it works well on phones? Why haven't camera companies adopted to it? JPEG is an outdated protocol. It's time for us to move on. What are your thoughts?
So I'm sorry I didn't get this person's name in the email because they didn't put it in their file and say it there. But this is interesting. Why haven't they moved on from JPEG?
It's a good question.
I know that it's been around for a long time, and I know that HEIF or HEIF is now here, but getting people to adopt to these new standards is not easy. Remember JPEG 2000? Mm-hmm. Remember all these different style things? Like JPEGs are so ingrained in the world that it might be very difficult to wean away from it.
I do think Apple bringing it into their smartphones now has brought it to the masses, and it is a lot more
acceptable, prevalent.
Yeah.
But the question is, will Google bring it to theirs? Will Android start saving in HEIF themselves?
Well, I know now you can also finally upload like a HEIF file to Facebook, for example. You still can't export to a HEIF from like Lightroom for some weird reason, but I do prefer it over JPEG because it's 10-bit 422. Like he said, a wider color space and everything.
Look, Steven, the moral of the story is this: fuck JPEGs, shoot RAW.
But what I'm saying is like at least HEIF is a better editable file in terms of compression versus RAW.
And I guess if I could save it in HEIF and things recognized it and it was a better file and it was better for web and better for email and better for everything, I would do it. But it's very hard to change after 20 years the standard of JPEG to something else.
It's definitely getting there. And I mean, even in the iPhones, in the settings, it says, do you want to choose the most compatible, which they consider JPEG, or the more advanced, newer format, which is HEVC or HEIF.
Right.
And you also have, like, from video codec perspective, H.265 is a smaller, better compressed file that even just a few years ago was not accepted really anywhere, and now it finally is in terms of import, export, upload, all of that. So I do think it's going to get there, but it's still a couple years behind.
Gotcha. All right, moving on. We've got Ethan Duncan, 17 years old. What about Stephen wowed you, Jared? Obviously, Jared has high standards. I do. And Stephen is able to meet them. But what prior experience did Stephen have to get into the position he is in today? Also, what was your guys' first impression of each other? Thanks. Keep up the fantastic work. Where should we start with this one, Stephen?
What wowed you? How did I wow you?
So it was definitely the sweat. No, it wasn't that. I didn't ever saw you sweating, but I saw Steven in the pit, I think, for the first time, and that's when he's like, I own some of your shirts. And I guess I'm very oblivious. I'm pretty oblivious to the world. I didn't realize Steven and I had shot before in the pit, maybe, because I'm focused as an asshole on something else.
Yeah, we connected in the pit, and I feel like we would always directly talk to each other versus all the other photographers for the most part.
Yeah, I think we were probably drawn to each other because Steven wasn't running around like an amateur and holding the camera above his head. And then the one time was simple. It was 3/11, and I was sitting there talking to Steven in the pit, and then all of a sudden I look up on stage and there's Steven with his Stephen Jenkins glasses on. He had glasses and his blonde spiked hair and his earrings going, are you guys ready for 3/11? All right, 3/11, 3/11. And then that was at Festival Pier. And then he came back in the pit. And I'm like, was that just you on stage?
I'm like, yeah. You don't do that? You don't go up and announce the bands?
Yeah, you're not announcing the band at Festival Pier in front of 7,000 people?
And I remember your old employee reaching out to me asking if I could help out with just the podcast at first, like starting small. And then I came in and just ripped shit up. And
he reached out to you?
Yeah, he reached out on your behalf.
I thought you reached out to me and said that you were...
No, you reached out to me.
Really?
Yep.
Are you sure? Because I have the story wrong? I thought you came to me and said, I can do a better job with your podcast. Let me do it.
Oh, I definitely commented on the audio, but I don't believe I actually said that.
Oh.
But I remember in terms of like actually when it comes to a work environment, your old employee, your ex-employee specifically reached out to me and asked me to come in and help him out.
Oh, well, you took his job and beyond.
And then I replaced him like a month later.
Yeah, I mean, you did replace him easily because you just, as I've said many times before, is you just really did a great job. You paid attention. You weren't distracted. You didn't make excuses. You showed up. You did what you said you would do. You said my audio was terrible and you could do a better job.
And I was definitely, I think I initially met you in the pit and then I started following you, I believe. I think then I YouTubed you and wanted to see what you were doing on there. And what I really liked was your, when you would give out the raw edits and do like the photo of the week and that kind of stuff back in the day. because at the time there was really no one on the internet giving out just random RAW files.
No one does it now either.
No one still does it. Yeah.
I was big into all that. Well, and that's the story, guys, and we're sticking to it.
And it didn't hurt that at the time I think I was working at the radio station. I definitely was working at the radio station. I was also
CVS.
The district photo lab supervisor at CVS, so obviously I knew all about film and printing and all of that. That's pretty much exactly what you needed. You needed someone to help you out with sound, to be a personality that knew their photo shit, and it was a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I'll give you that.
It was all right.
Yeah, I asked to see his degree. No, I never did. No one ever asked to see any degrees.
I was still in college, I'm pretty sure.
No, I think you were done rowing at that point.
Was I?
Yeah.
This is 2015?
No. 14?
This would be
13?
Dude, I started full time with you in 2013.
Well, that's when I moved into my new house.
It had to be 2012.
All right. Well, yeah, because
I was just graduating around then, yeah.
You were on episode 2, 3, 4?
RAWtalk number 2, yeah.
Number 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty fun with Leora.
Yep.
David Sharonberg. That's a really very cool name, David Sharonberg. I think they might be Jewish.
I liked Ethan Duncan's name. I think that's a pretty sweet name.
Well, that's because it's not Jewish. Are we coming back to this hood thing again, Steven? We're not bringing back the hood? All right, David Sharonberg. I would like to know how you're able to use the images of baseball in your videos. I remember back in the day when I actually watched baseball, them talking about having the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Do you have to sign something, some sort of waiver, or did you sign over some sort of consent as part of the All Access Pass? And because you are technically making money from your images, even if indirectly, did you have to agree or consent to either sharing your images with MLB or using them as they see fit? Now, this is a really intricate but really good question. The answer is, I'm a publication, right? So I was approved for passes. And being that I'm approved for passes, that is the express written consent of Major League Baseball. By giving me a pass, they are saying that it's okay for me to use these images for my publication. On the other hand, you talk about, well, I am making money indirectly, and is that an issue? Well, I would say the same thing about Sports Illustrated back in the day. Do they make money off of selling their magazine and selling ads, right? So it's a business. And so this is one of those, to me, it's not really a gray area. It's just a difference between a YouTube channel and a traditional media publication. A traditional media publication, Getty Images, newspapers, they're selling the images. Newspapers are selling advertising and making money. And so one is news, but then again, a newspaper does have some editorial opinions that they share.
Yeah.
The sports news writers are sharing their opinions about games. So it's very similar to me reviewing camera gear and sharing my thoughts that just so happen to use baseball images as the background. I haven't signed anything with Major League Baseball. They do not have access to any of my images for Major League Baseball.
You're not selling prints?
I'm not selling prints. I'm physically not selling prints. I do have a book to give away that I haven't shown yet. Well, I probably showed it by the time this is out, but I did have a Phillies book ordered from the playoffs. The playoffs? For my dad, I ordered one, and for me, I ordered one, and I got an extra one from Printique.com. I don't think there's a /fro or anything, to give away one of the Phillies books. And that's a giveaway.
But again, yeah, exactly. It's a giveaway. You're not actually making money off of it.
Right. But it's also a gray area because if you go on YouTube, there's a guy named Jomboy Media, Jomboy, Jomboy Media, who commentates over, like if a pitcher gets, if a coach gets thrown out, he'll lip read, he'll slow down the footage to lip read, he'll rewind it and fast forward. He's using that. And I can guarantee you that at the beginning, he absolutely did not have express written consent of the Major League Baseball. And I don't know if he does now, but his business has taken off. He got funding from Major League Baseball players and really took off and gets a shit ton of views on the internet doing what he does.
Is he simply commentating, or is he actually...
He's showing the footage.
Is he doing parody, though? Is it... Like, what exactly is it?
No, he's talking about what happened. Like,
okay.
If there's a brawl, he'll go and talk about the brawl, and he'll zoom in or highlight a certain area. So he's using the footage.
Interesting.
So definitely a gray area.
Yeah.
You want to move on? Let's run the next audio question.
Hi, Jared. Hi, Steven. I'm Chris, and I'm from San Diego. The question I have is regarding the EVF on Sony compared to other cameras, or maybe just the Sony EVF. When I shoot photos on my camera through the EVF, what I'm seeing in my EVF doesn't necessarily match up to what I get in my photo. So what may look like the right composition might be too dark on my Sony or maybe a little too bright on the photos. I was wondering if you know any workarounds or maybe why that is the problem. Thank you so much.
Really good question, Christopher. This is something that I know that we've run into before, and Steven had to correct one of my cameras because I used to shoot it a certain way with the viewfinder, and going from Nikon to Canon to Sony, they all work a little different.
Well, and at the time, in the beginning, in like 2018, when the whole mirrorless war thing started, Nikon and Canon didn't have auto brightness in their EVFs. You had to manually set it. So I remember arguing with you of saying you had to adjust it based on your environment and if it's dark or bright or whatever it may be. And you're like, no, it's got to be zeroed out at all times. I'm like, yeah, but then it's going to be too bright when you're shooting in a dark environment and you're going to severely under or overexpose it. And eventually they came out with a firmware update, fixed that, and now we're pretty much solely shooting in auto brightness at all times, as it should be.
I leave it in auto brightness because I want to have the closest representation to real and the final product as possible. So the things that you might be looking at in your viewfinder, maybe your viewfinder is set too bright. Maybe you didn't set it to auto. And the weird thing is that Sony doesn't have a very good middle ground when it comes to the gradations of brightness to darkness. What I've noticed is that it either goes bright or it goes dark. It either goes bright, it either goes dark.
There's
so if
no
you're in a dark
smooth
situation,
transition,
there's no smooth or middle ground. Whereas with Canon, it just seems, I don't even notice it with Canon. And with Nikon, I do notice that Nikon does get a little darker in certain situations. But the Sony is the one where I notice there's no middle ground. It's either bright or it's dark in the viewfinder, which absolutely will throw off your exposure. And that's what you're talking about.
And I don't really use the meter anymore, but I am a big fan of the histogram.
Sometimes.
I will still, for the most part, try not to clip my highlights or anything like that. So I do I'll do a general exposure based on what I'm seeing in the viewfinder, and then on top of that, I'll triple check with the histogram to make sure I'm not clipping either shadows or highlights.
So how I do it is I do a general look at the viewfinder for my overall, and then I look at the exposure meter down at the bottom to see if it's fully out of whack or if it just makes sense. But I think
kind of the same thing. You're just using the meter instead of the histogram.
Yeah, meter instead of histogram. I mean, I would think that if there was a button to hit zebra lines or something real quick, that would kind of probably be pretty good from a photo standpoint, or if you had the blinkies on. But again, in the fast-paced world we're moving in, we generally get it pretty damn close.
And you have to remember that you're also exposing for the JPEG preview in the viewfinder, and you're not really exposing for the RAW file. So even though I'm looking at the histogram, for example, that histogram is based on the JPEG brightness value versus the actual RAW value. So it will adjust a little bit when you're bringing it into Lightroom. You have to just understand and compensate for that. Video, though, I will say I've noticed with Canon specifically, if I'm shooting video through the EVF, it's always a little too bright for me if I have an auto brightness. So I have to almost bring it down like a third of a stop based on what I'm seeing. I also have zebras put on, which is really nice, but they only allow that in video mode, not in still photos, which I think is ridiculous. You should have it across the board in both menus.
Good points, Stephen. Good points.
And then the one other thing about Canon that I really like is they have now the new OVF simulation adjustment. So you can literally program one of the front buttons, for example, to one press, do an OVF simulation. So it turns off the exposure simulation and shows you what it would look like through an optical viewfinder to see if your exposure is really completely off or pretty spot on. So I do like to toggle that real quick if I'm not sure of the exposure, if it looks a little weird, and just to kind of see, like, am I really off or am I pretty good? I don't think Sony has that, but I'm sure that will be included in a future firmware update or new camera or something.
So thank you for your question. Hopefully we gave you some sort of answer, but I think it really comes down to check your brightness. That really could be it. And just the Sony thing. All right, we've got Austin Long. Hi, I'm Bobby Long, and this is my boyfriend. Right?
Oh, such a good movie.
Zach and Miri Makes a Porno is
Bobby Long.
Absolutely fan. Have I seen you in movies? Probably not. Are you sure? Not unless it's Glenn Gary Glenn Ross. Yeah, if it's Glenn Gary Glenn Ross with his balls in his mouth, then maybe. That movie is. I know a girl who's in the background because it was shot in Pittsburgh, and she's in that scene.
Like the actual scene at the high school reunion or whatever?
At the high school reunion. She's one of the girls at the high school reunion.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Classic.
So Austin Long, I like your 5-minute portrait videos and challenges. Do you plan to do more of those in the future? See, yes, I plan on doing a whole video guide kind of similar to a 5-minute portrait to start. And then that got me thinking, because I went back and looked at some of the numbers. There are some really good numbers with 5-minute portraits. Now, they take years to grow sometimes, unfortunately, which is why we don't do them all the time. But this is part of the, if we do and are able to expand slightly, then maybe we are able to go shoot these and have an editor that's capable of getting us a cut that we need and getting it closer to, basically take some work off of Steven's plate, which allows us to then go be more free in the world and do other things.
And what people don't realize too about 5-minute portraits, they appear to be uncut and raw and live right off the bat, but there's a lot of editing that gets involved to cut out a lot of the, awkward moments and dead air, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, we could make them shorter, but I think that just misses the whole point, because it's like, I've been doing a lot of studying into what other newer or successful YouTubers are doing and the style that they're going after. There's a specific style that this one guy teaches or that he preaches and people follow. And I'm a little torn because nothing's right. I'm torn. I'm all out of faith. This is how I feel. I'm cold and I am shamed, lying naked on the floor. Illusions never changed into something real. I'm wide awake and I can see the perfect sky is... Steven? You're supposed to say torn. Natalie Imbruglia.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a cover.
Is it? Oh, I thought that was an original.
No, I was pretty sure someone told me that was a cover.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know. So people are following this method that this guy is doing, and it does work in some situations, but I'm torn. I'm all out of it.
Oh, God.
I'm torn because their focus is on one video every so often that gets the maximum amount of views, but those videos may not be long burn videos that keep people coming back for more.
You're saying they do like one big video?
Well, they do one like every week or two, and it does do well, which is great. I mean, I would love that. But then there's may not be those tweener videos, like not everybody wants to watch a Nikon 35-1.8 lens review, right? But there are people that will. So it's like a trade-off. Do you change the way that you've been doing things in favor of more views? Because more views for us would mean more sales, I would think. So I want to try some things
but
with 5-minute portraits.
A lot of our content is also like evergreen content, though. It's a lot of it's search heavy, and we know we're going to get the views later on. It's something we don't really do well is go back and see like how some of the videos that did poorly when they first were released into the world, and you look back a year later and they have 500,000 views.
But some of my other issues is when you have like a channel that's been around for 2 years and they're getting 400,000 or 500,000 a video in the Pokemon world, and I know we're not the Pokemon world. Let's see them in 12
years when they're still on YouTube. What they're doing.
Sure. But I mean, I would be very happy if I was doing, 150 to 200,000 views a video.
Of course.
But they're growing. Like these guys are growing because, YouTube evolves and YouTube changes, and they do prioritize newer channels, even though people feel like they don't, but they have to, because how do new channels get surfaced?
I think my big thing too about 5-minute portraits is we should rebrand it as something like actually just call it a photo shoot or something like that. I think the 5-minute portrait is such a weird name to have on, like as a new viewer of Frono's Photo, I'm gonna be like, wait, what? Why does it say 5-minute portrait?
I branded the shit out of it back in the day.
But we don't really talk about it anymore.
We can call it 5-minute portrait in the video. Doesn't mean it has to be in the title.
In the title, yes.
But I don't mind it, but because I looked back at some of them and it was like,
well, they actually were 5-minute portraits back in the day.
No, they weren't. They never were 5 minutes.
Really, never?
The first one was like an hour long. That was the joke.
Oh, okay. I thought it literally started out as 5 minutes.
The idea was for me to keep it to 5 minutes, and I think it was like 45 minutes to an hour was the first one. And so I just stuck with it because I wanted to give more. So to answer the question is, the plan is to do some of those, yes. The other plan is to make a new video guide into the new year that centers around 5-minute portrait style shoots, but goes above and beyond with pre-shoot information, post-shoot editing and culling and gear. Like
the entire
I've talked about
start to finish, yeah.
It's the entire start to finish. And so I feel like we will turn those educational videos into a product that you can buy in a cohesive place and learn from. They're going to be different shoots, so they're not going to be like 4 of the same shoot. They're all going to hit different topics, but you're going to be able to learn so much from this. And I just feel like educational content right now with YouTube is very difficult to get people to watch, but the people that do watch it love it and watch it for a long amount of time because we can see that in the numbers. But I think that people who buy it will appreciate it even more.
And the way we got around people not watching was when we started to incorporate brand new gear into these 5-minute portraits. So it almost double as a real world review or just a review in general of a new camera or a new piece of gear.
How to get professional results with a kit
Canon
lens.
80D or
Yeah, and we could revisit it. And also, I was also thinking that even if I do 5-minute portraits and then I turn them into for sales type of products, part of the 5-minute portrait can still be used. And if you want to buy more and get the rest of it, then you could. So that's like there's a lot of thinking going on in my head. Next question, Margaret Mesa Cortez. How did you get so important in the photo world? Do you know who I am? I don't. How did I get so important? Well, I guess
because I'm Jared Polin. That's why.
Yeah, my name, Jared Polin. That's right. 12 years of doing this, 13 years of doing this, putting out content day in and day out for years.
The grind, yeah.
Interacting with the community. I remember back at the beginning, people were like, "You're a flash in the pan. You're just all shtick." I love that one. You're just hair. You're all shtick. You just do. You chase things around the backyard and do dumb shit, but. Yeah, if it was just a shtick, it wouldn't have worked. I wouldn't have lasted long. There's flash in the pans. They come on with one thing they do and they disappear. I think I became so important in the industry because I've cultivated good relationships. I've reviewed everything that's come out. I mean, Steven was one of the main reasons for me to start doing Canon DSLRs back in the day.
You would have probably still only been doing Nikon if I didn't jump on board.
It's just like, let's go, do other stuff, learn it. And so I did. It took time, but I did. And so I think I became so important in the world is because I made myself so important in the world. I made myself indispensable, or the fact that every time you search something photography, you're going to end up with one of my videos made me important in the world.
Well, and I think you were very vocal in the photography world, whether it was controversial topics or not. And I think the daily grind of literally putting out one video a day for years kept you in the limelight, and you were always around. You searched anything photography-wise in the YouTube sphere for the first couple of years, you were one of the top hits, I'm sure. Now there's a lot more competition, but how do we stand out?
Are actually good.
And you're Jared Polin, and your photography is amazing.
It's actually good compared to these other people out there.
And we had to, I think 2015 or so, it was around then when we did a major pivot into not just like the same old random unboxings and doing the laziest possible types of videos.
Yep.
I think
filler
that really
videos.
helped. They're all filler because you were still trying to do that one video a day, and it was just filler.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the next audio question.
Hey, Jared. My name is Joaquin, and I wanted to ask the following question. What is the most practical and useful business advice or tips that you wish you would have learned earlier as you were growing your business? I'm currently trying to grow my own, photography and cinematography business. And I just wanted to know what is, kind of like the back end business tip that you wish you would have learned earlier as you were growing your business. Thank you very much. And I appreciate all of your content.
All right. At first, I didn't think this was actually Joaquin. I thought it was Manny Ortiz trying to
disguise
pull one over on us.
himself.
But no, it wasn't actually Manny. I could tell after a while. But at the beginning, I thought it was Manny. So the one indispensable business piece of advice that you're asking for, I mean, obviously there's no just one, but I think the biggest thing still comes back to networking. The more people you know, the more opportunities you have to share what you do and to end up getting jobs. No amount of money that you spend on online ads to filter people into your website or to pay Instagram and Facebook, you're just pissing into the wind. Get out into the world and meet people, right? Do shoots. I think one of the biggest things that can help people is the personal project. My 6 Degrees project has led me to some amazing things. It's led to me making money. It's led to me getting great connections. And another person who did a personal project was Mike Kelly, the architectural photographer, who then did a personal project called Wake Turbulence, where he took pictures in LA of every jet taking off and landing at LAX for a certain amount of time, and then did a composite of this on he shot it all with like a 5D. No, he shot it with like a 60D or something, and he wishes he did it with like a 5D SR or something at the time.
I thought he was a 5D guy.
He was, but I think he used some basic thing.
Wow.
And he had an idea, and this Wake Turbulence thing took off, and people started buying it, and then he licensed it, and then people bought prints,
went
and then
everywhere,
it would get it everywhere, and then he did it across the world at other areas, other airports.
I think airports were actually hiring him to do it at their airport,
they were
correct?
Giving him access,
Yeah.
right? And so it turned into his personal project, turned into massive amount of money and clout, and so really part of it's personal project. And my 6 degrees, my day in the life photo shoots, like I just did of Michael Solomonov, of Zahav and Philly, the chef, or everybody else that I photographed. These are all exercises in networking. One, can I get someone to say yes, which is the same thing with women. I usually like the fact that if you can get a woman or a man, not me though, but in other cases, to say yes to certain things, sometimes that's just good enough. But it's like, can you make the sale? Can you close the deal type of thing?
It's usually a no when it comes to women. Yep.
Usually it's a no. It's like, nah, I don't know. But, Grindr's been...
For some reason, I have an online dating profile, but I'm going to take things slow.
Wait, did I talk about that?
I'm sure you've told me stuff.
Did I bring that one up?
Not publicly.
I didn't?
I don't know.
Wait, well, I'm thinking about it. Right. I was supposed to have tea with someone. I don't know if I said this on the podcast or not.
I don't think you
did. I may
did.
have. I don't know. Supposed to have tea with someone, and then they said something weird like, I was supposed to see my therapist on Monday, but I didn't get to see them yet, and I wanted to wait till I talked to them before we go out. And so right then and there, I was done, right? I didn't even say anything. I was just going to basically end up ghosting because...
Yep.
That's a major red flag that you can't make your own mind up and your own
agree.
decision.
Yep.
And so then that Friday or something after we were supposed to go somewhere, Thursday, she's like, I can't go because of this. I didn't get to see my therapist. And then I just let it go. And then I got like a message on Sunday being like, hey, I just wanted to let you know it was really nice chatting. And we never met, by the way, because you try to get to meet someone in person to see if there's something there. And she's like, I just want to let you know that I need to be working on myself and I need to focus on this.
Like, why are you on a dating app if that's your excuse? That's such a bullshit excuse.
And so
just say you're not interested.
What did I write back to her? I wrote back, well, then maybe you should
not
reevaluate being on a dating app. That's what I said. I was like, maybe you should reevaluate being on a dating app then. And then that was it. I just left it there. And then I just blocked and called it a day. And I don't take it personally. It's not me. It's them. It really is. And it's the same thing. Like if someone says no to you getting a job, it's really not you for the most part. There's some reason that they chose to say no. Same thing with women. There's a reason they say no. And don't get upset if a girl doesn't go out with you. Really, don't be that asshole who is like, well, why? I'm not good enough. They have their reasons. And if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. If someone doesn't want you and they are nice enough or however they say it to be like, I'm not interested, take the fucking hint. And don't be an asshole and think that you can win them over somehow by being a douche. But the best advice is get yourself out into the world and pick up a personal project. If the personal project is doing photo stories of business owners in your area, then do photo stories of business people in your area. That's so important because you're working with a business owner. They make money. They have money to spend on marketing. And so that's what you do. So the best piece of advice, network and personal projects.
Adding to networking, I know you've always been a big fan of wishing that you assisted more back in the day and having more of like a proper mentor of some sort that either has a photography business or just at least knows how to set up a photo shoot. I think that's very important for someone either coming out of college or high school or just starting out in their photography career. Assisting is key, and I also wish that I did more of that when I started into my quote-unquote photography career.
Well, so I'm happy where I ended up. And like I said earlier, I don't want to play revisionist history and change because if I do X, then Y might not have happened. Like a Tesla Model Y may never have happened. So it's
or the Lambo or the Porsche.
Dude, I could buy a Model X. If I really wanted, I could buy a Model X. I could buy a Lamborghini. I could buy a fucking Bentley.
Is the Model X like the real expensive Tesla?
It's about $144.
Oh, so like nothing for you. A couple pennies?
I mean,
a couple shekels?
dude, why don't we just sell another preset or two and then we're good? I mean, seriously. The first time, so when I'll just tell you this. When I released the Flash Guide with Adam and we sold, like after the first week, I went and bought a piano because I went and bought a player piano because I always wanted a player piano.
I remember.
And my mom always wanted a player piano and she died, as most of you know. And so this was a thing I was going to pay homage to her and go get a piano. I walk into the piano store. I probably had on my bad jeans because I didn't have good jeans yet and bad, not great shoes.
But you probably thought they were the best jeans ever at the time.
Whatever. I shoot raw shirt and I walk in and of course, they try to pre-qualify who you are. Well, I write a $15,000 fucking check for a piano right on the spot. And I'm like, yeah, I'm buying this piano right now. 15 grand? Yeah, I got that. No problem. We sold the video guide. I made a bunch of money doing that, selling the education, and that's what I chose to buy. And so I did, but I hate when they try to pre-qualify you and you walk in there and you're like, dude, I'm writing a check right this second.
I'm sure you get judged hard, man, every place you walk into.
Totally good. I can deal with it.
Oh, no, I know you can, but
I float through these areas like, yeah, do you know who I am? Without saying
it's
that.
more like, if only you knew who I am.
It is really if only you knew. Like when the guy called me a clown at the Phillies game, right?
Yep.
Well, look at this clown. I'm like, okay, it's funny. This clown's really successful, but that's okay, right? So it's just when people do. My dad hates it more than anything. Not what I do, but he hates if someone makes a statement or a quip about me. Like we were going to lunch somewhere. I remember where it was. It was in Bensalem, and it was going to Texas Roadhouse. Yes, exactly.
You ate at Texas Roadhouse?
We did, and it was lunch, and we were walking into the place, and this woman had something to say to her friend loud enough that we could hear, and my dad had something to say back to her. I think probably about her face. I think she said
they comment about your hair or something, or
like it's like ugly or that's ugly, and then he probably said something about her face because he reverts back to the elementary school days, basically.
Well,
I'm like, Dad,
that is the ultimate. Get someone back by just commenting about their physical appearance because they can't change it really.
I don't hammer people like that now. Back in the day, as a kid or a teenager, well, more in a high school, elementary school time. In high school, I was fine. Kids grew up by then. But in elementary school, if someone would hammer me time and time again, and I would just take it. I'm real good at taking it, especially from behind. I'm really good at taking it. And I have a thick skin, ref in hockey, all that stuff.
I'm sure YouTube has helped.
Oh, well,
thicken that skin.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But people would pound on me, say dumb shit, try to get a rise out of me. And then I will hit them finally with the hardest thing that I have. And God, this is not meant to sound sexual with the pounding and the hardest thing and from behind. But I would just save that one thing that I knew would get them. And then I'd bring it out, and then I'd get in trouble. I'd get in trouble for finally saying something back.
You wouldn't physically attack them; you'd verbally attack them.
No, it would all verbal. Oh, yeah. I would hammer people hard. I will bury you in the goddamn ground. I will wait, and 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 I will wait some more. You can keep pounding away. I'm going to hit you with that one thing that I know is going to bother you because nothing's going to bother me.
Yeah.
So I would get in trouble for that stuff. Where I was going with all of that, I still don't know.
We got about 75 more questions.
All right, let's move on to Charles Marsh. Pricing, like real, hard world pricing numbers. No fluff or general what they will pay crap. Professional photographers should be starting at X number ... Day rate should be a minimum of X number. Well, Charles, I'm sorry to inform you, there is no hard number.
Yeah.
There isn't. It is what you can get paid in some situations, but at some point you need to make up your pricing. And I will give you an example. Vanessa Joy has told me that every time she sells her top wedding package, she raises the price. Because if someone paid it, then someone's going to pay more. And so she raises her price every time someone takes her most expensive package. I don't know what that price is, but I know it's pricey. But when it comes to setting a shoot, there is no way for me to tell you that a day rate is this.
Well, and it happens. Where's your location? What's the cost of living around there? Right. There's a lot of variables.
What can people afford in those areas?
Exactly.
Because a wedding here versus a wedding in Kentucky, and this is me being judgmental about Kentucky, is a lot more expensive here than in Kentucky. Yes, I'm saying it because it's kind of true, probably.
And then a New York wedding would be more than here.
And an LA
Or
wedding
LA
and all
wedding.
of that stuff.
Yep, yep.
Because costs of living and expenses are much higher. So, like, for me, people go, what would a day in the life cost? I'm like, 10 grand a day. I just make it up. But that's the price. A lot of the
these
pricing
numbers
I make
are
up.
literally just made up, though. That's the thing. What
And
are
you
you
can
confident
support
in
it.
saying? Yeah.
And I've, in business, a lot of it, when we make up, when we get asked for certain things, I pick a number, and generally speaking, we are in the ballpark with the numbers that I pick. And sometimes people are like, well, we can't do that. And a lot of times I won't work with those companies, not because they won't pay enough, but they want to do like a CPM. So they will pay based off of how many views you get, which to me is not the right way to go, because how do you know that they're valuable views? I want some like actual marketing to people that care, right? Not just paying, oh, well, you got 10,000 views, so we're going to pay you X. That's how a lot of podcasts go. How many downloads did you get? And that's how they're going to pay based off of downloads, CPM.
And I know when we were looking at wedding photographers last year, there was everything from, $2,000 for a full package day wedding photography pricing versus, all the way up to like nearly 10 grand. It's just, what did they offer? What was their experience? How long have they been shooting for? What was their style like? I mean, it's all over the place. There were people that were charging upwards of 8 to 9 grand that I thought their work looked like shit. And then there was people charging 2 to 3 grand that I thought was actually incredible work. So it all depends.
Let's move on. Let's rapid fire some of these, and we've got a couple more audios, right?
Yes, I think we have 2 more audios.
All right, let's go to Andy Young. Why should an amateur spend $9.99 a month or $120 a year for Lightroom and Photoshop? I wouldn't mind the cost, except it's never ending every year, every month. Well, this is tough, but back in the day, Photoshop was $800 to get Photoshop,
and
it was
every
like
time you updated, it was another.
Well, not $800 to update. It was $800 to get into the ecosystem, and it was like $200 or $199 to upgrade. But the upgrade only happened every like 4 years.
And Lightroom was $300, I believe, for the initial Lightroom 1 or 2 or 3, and then $100 to update. Right?
It was, and then they got rid of whatever that was. Mm-hmm. It is a lot of money as an amateur to spend. Well, no, honestly, $120 a year. Even for an amateur, I know it's $120. It's still substantial, but for $10 a month, I mean,
for both programs, not just one. It's both programs.
Cheaper than Spotify.
Again, going back to when we were spending $800 or $300 on Lightroom, you were spending a lot more annually on those updates.
Steven, how much is a beer for you?
Like if I went to a bar,
yeah,
$7,
right?
For a pint.
So you're just. Don't drink that coffee that one day. I mean, really,
I agree.
honestly,
yeah, $10 is nothing.
I don't think it's that much in the grand scheme of things, and it gives you all the latest and greatest. And yeah, if you're an amateur,
and I get
sometimes it might be a tough pill to swallow.
All
It does add up. But as a photographer, I mean, if there was a standalone version, they would still be charging you a couple $100. So $300 means that 3 years of $120. And yeah, that might be good enough for you.
And Lightroom, it was every year they would do an update. So it was always $100 per year, no matter what, if you wanted that latest, greatest update. The thing I like about this is I think the pros outweigh the cons. It's $10 a month, but it's still much cheaper than if they were both standalone programs that you were paying for with the updates. And you get all the newer features whenever they're ready, which is usually every month or two. Like now you have the texture slider, the dehaze, the latest and greatest masking preferences in the adjustment brush and everything. I mean, that stuff is just unbelievable what you can do with it with the AI now. And you can do adaptive presets, which we'll get into when FroPack 4 comes out.
All right. Brendan Poe, what percentage of your time is spent doing paid assignment work compared to maintaining the Fronos Photo content production? 0. I don't do paid work. I've said it for a while now that I don't take jobs from anybody.
Unless it's 10 grand for a day in the life.
Which I still won't take. Generally speaking, I still tell people I do not want to be beholden to someone else's expectations. Part of that's out of fear of failing on someone's shoot that's paying me, right? There's some of that. But the other side of it is I don't need to take jobs. We make our money here doing this, which allows me to shoot the things that I want to shoot. I've said it time and time again. All right, audio question. Let's get into it.
Hello, Jared and Steven. I have a question about Lightroom color profiles and which color profiles I should use when editing my R5 or R6 images. Adobe doesn't seem to have reverse engineered Canon's color science quite right, and I notice it especially with skin tones. which color profiles do you use in Lightroom? Thanks for all the great content you guys provide, and happy holidays.
I think that was one of our friends that's north of the border, eh? Hey, buddy. What are you talking about? You're Canadian. You got these questions for you, eh? So, yeah, he's talking about color profiles. Steven, take this one away because you showed me something recently.
So by default, Adobe does their Adobe Color Profile. It's the first thing above the basic develop module panel in the top right corner when you're in that develop module. Adobe Color is just a general catch-all for any camera that you throw at it, any file from any camera. It's going to generally say, this is what red looks like, this is what green looks like, whatever. Now, Adobe also has certain camera profiles dedicated to specific cameras. So if I have an R5 and I'm importing an R5 CR3 file, you can go to the camera standard profile, which Adobe has specifically tried out those files and said, this is what red looks like in an R5 file. This is what green looks like in an R5 file. So it's much more camera specific, and I think it's more true to life of what that camera, what it looks like on the back of your screen. If you were to just get a JPEG straight out of camera, I think the coloring is much better. So I tend to try to adjust it to the actual camera profile versus the Adobe Color All Catch-All. Now, we have obviously presets that we sell. I based all of the presets on just the Adobe Color Profile, but that's because I'm pushing and pulling colors anyway. I'm telling specifically, this is what yellow looks like, this is what red looks like. I'm manipulating those colors, so it doesn't really matter. But again, if you want to keep as true to life colors as possible with your camera, I would try to go to the camera specific profiles, which you just simply click Adobe Color and then you go to browse and you can then find your profile. And
so I did toy with this.
I just showed you, and you kind of see how it manipulates, like
sometimes.
Like for example, I think with the R3 or the R5, when you go to the camera specific profile versus the Adobe Color one, I think the oranges and the skin tones look different, like more contrasty, a little more true to life. Versus
I think
the
sometimes
general Adobe Color.
I think they're overdone sometimes. I tried it with my recent shoot. I didn't really like some of the
are you doing like
changes.
Skittles and then changing it?
No.
You're straight off the bat.
I did it first.
Okay.
I did it first off the bat to see what it would look like. And sometimes I think it makes the reds and oranges sometimes too vibrant and too saturated to what I think they should be.
Now, if you really want to go nuts and get exact colors of what they should look like and not what Adobe thinks they should look like, you can get something like a color checker and take a picture of that. And then in Lightroom, if you download their plugin, it will create a dedicated profile based on that color checker picture that you took. And it makes all the colors pop. It's very true to life. And that's where I would go. That's the route I would take if you really wanted to get your colors exact.
All right, good question. Let's run the last audio question that we have.
Jared, Steven, I have a YouTube channel that has 400 subscribers, but it's a bullshit channel, and now I have a focus and a niche, so I want to start over. Do I launch with a brand new channel and a brand new name, or do I just change the name of my current channel that already has 420 subscribers? Please, I need an answer to this. I know it's not photo related, but you guys are YouTubers too, so please help me. Thank you.
First off, hire this guy for voiceover work, Steven.
He sounds great.
Well, it turns out that he is in radio, right? I'll read you what he wrote. He said, "Hey, guys, my name is Bo Reynolds. I recorded a question that's attached, but you only allowed 30 seconds, so could I waste more of your time?" Which he didn't say. I could explain that I'm a 30-year radio personality, which explains so much, and a voiceover actor, having done both every day for more than 3 decades in markets like LA, Chicago, Denver, so on. It's something I have a great deal of knowledge and experience with. But current channel is just done, is drone bullshit of the beach I live on, and now I know I need a channel with a niche, so on and so forth. And he's got 400 subscribers. I mean, this is simple, dude. Bo, the answer is start a new channel.
Absolutely start over. Yep.
You have 400, which is 0. 400 is literally 0 subscribers right now.
When I first heard that audio message...
I'm not ripping on you, though.
Oh, no, not at all. I thought he meant 400,000 subscribers. 400 is something you can make, almost overnight if you really go into a niche situation. But yeah, start over, man. We've had our buddy Max Yuryev, for example. He used to do camera-centric things, more video side, kind of like Gerald Undone, a lot of camera testing. And he switched over to now do Max Tech, which is more like a Linus Tech Tips Mac-based channel reviewing Mac products and just tech stuff. And
Yeah,
he has now surpassed his original channel. And he had, 170,000 subscribers, I think, when he decided to start over, which is mind-blowing. That's a scary risk to take. And he did.
He's got 1 million now.
And now he's got 1 million. Yeah,
he's got 292 million views, which is basically more than us. His subscriber growth looks like it has stopped, because I'm looking at back-end numbers. It looks like 10,000, which is a lot more than we get now. We used to get, I remember we were at 20,000 a month or more, and then I remember when Peter McKinnon was at like 200,000 subscribers a month. It was like so frustrating at the time.
I feel like that first or second year, he went from like 100,000 to like 2 million subscribers.
He did. He jumped so fast. It was just insane what YouTube was pushing then. But now the subscription seems to be less of interest to YouTube, and it's more watch time and mostly watch time. But yeah, Max Yuriev changed his channel, or he started a new one altogether. And
it was
another
just his name before, now it's Max Tech.
And another one who changed, this kid Pat Flynn, and by kid, we may be the same age. He had a thing called passive income, smart passive income. That's where Pat Flynn would every month tell you exactly how much money he made online and break it down to show you how, which was awesome. He doesn't do that anymore. But over the pandemic, he got into Pokemon cards with his kid because his kid was interested in it. And he saw a niche and he started making videos, and now he's looking at like 500,000 views per video that he's getting. And it's called Deep Pocket Monster. And so he was able to turn it, and he didn't use like his other following. He started new in a niche that already had a lot of people in it. Pokemon cards was already hot when he came along. Yeah. He just had some ideas. He thought he could do something that would work in a certain way. He tried things. He tested. He did things. And so you should start a new YouTube channel and just do it. Just start a new YouTube channel. I don't know what it would be, but I would probably do voiceovers of like funny shit, like awesome voiceovers.
I actually follow a couple of audio guys that give you like audio tips in Adobe Audition and audio voiceover tips and how to edit out like cracks and that kind of stuff in audio, hisses, whatever it may be. But I just feel like audio, though, for some reason, it doesn't get many views. That's the only thing.
No, not like lawn care.
Exactly.
Lawn care is insane. But yeah, so there is a market there for everything. That's just how it is in this day and age. And, I've been looking at Pat Flynn's stuff with Deep Pocket Monster, and I know that we have similar styles in certain things. Like we do storytelling images. Like it's all about storytelling with his in essence vlogs / storytelling / challenges. It's all here's what's up for grabs. I have to do X. Then you watch him do X and Y, and then there's the payoff at the end. I mean, that's the stuff of content that he's making, and it's resonating with people.
And I think when you are starting a brand new channel, I think branding is definitely going to be key, and consistency, obviously, I think is number one. I personally, if I started my own channel, for example, I think I would probably make a handful of videos, say 5 or even 10, just to have them ready to rock and start doing one a week. And then just obviously in the meantime, recording future videos and getting them ready, because the worst thing to do is put out one video and then not touch the channel again for another 3 months or whatever it may be. You need to have a bunch ready to roll out.
And we've got a friend who I helped him come up with the name of his channel called David Tries This.
Yep.
Right. And he's growing slowly, but he has really good knowledge about the photo industry and everything. But when we discussed it, I'm like, David Tries This leaves it open-ended. You can try food.
Definitely don't pigeonhole yourself like, something like Fro Knows Photo. You definitely don't want that.
different time, man. If I wanted to branch out,
everything.
I could branch out. Another one is Sam Green, Sam the Maker.
Yes.
Sam Green, who I helped get into college when he was in high school back in the day, went and worked for this guy, John Malecki, who also follows the same guy that Pat Flynn follows. So they make very similar style. They all are chasing this certain look and certain feel. And then Sam left there to work on his own just in general and started to make YouTube videos and is already able to monetize his videos because his first one did like 40 or 50,000 in the woodworking world. And so you know what happens when you get a successful YouTube video right off the bat. You start to then try to recapture that goodness over and over again, and it becomes a thing. It wears at you. So a
lot of ebbs and flows, a lot of hills and valleys. Just be prepared to be on an emotional roller coaster for years. Don't expect every video to do an insane amount of views. You just got to push through it.
Nope. So yeah, I just went to Sam Green's channel. He already has 11,000 subscribers because he utilized his time working with John Malecki to build up a personality and a little bit of a following. So he added a good amount on Instagram, and now he's transitioned them into watching his videos, where the first one he did 2 weeks ago, 51,000, and then 7 days ago, 17,000, and then 9 hours ago is at 4,000. Oh, it's called Shop Update. Oh, I don't know, maybe that's good. Oh, but it says thank you in the thumbnail. That's like a killer. No one cares. No one wants that video.
Yeah, that's tough.
No one wants to be told thank you, but still really good on it. But really, for first 3 videos to have 11,000 followers, and he's going, and he has a logo and everything. Yeah, you just got to go. Just do it. All right, next. Shane Day, do you have a specific... You can keep all that, Steven. Shane Day, do you have a specific moment in your career where you knew photography would be your life's work? If so, did that change how you viewed photography? So I will just say that I got to the point where I knew that being creative would be my life's work, and that I always would tie photography into it. Case in point, I went to interview for a job in New Hope, PA, I believe, with a realtor back in the day, before Frono's Photo, before a bunch of stuff, and I came in with my photo portfolio. The job wasn't that. The job was being like, I don't know, some realtor type job, and I was like, yeah, you should really incorporate photos and into your work like this, and this is what I can do, and this is what I can do. So I tried, this wasn't the job offering, but I tried to mold it into something that I could bring to the table, which years later would end up being the thing that every realtor ended up doing. Because I was well ahead of the curve. Do you know why, Steven?
Why?
Do you know who I am? Because I was well ahead of the damn goddamn curve, Steven, because I always felt like I wasn't meant to work for anybody else, and I always felt that creative and photo would be a part of it no matter what it was. Didn't matter if it was a car wash, because guess what? If I worked at a car wash and was a photographer, all these people come through with cool vintagey cars. Hey, by the way, I'm a photographer. Here's some of my work hanging in the lounge where you're waiting to get your car fucking back from you out of the machine. And you're like, oh, fuck, this guy can take photos. You're like, yup. Man, see, that's how my brain works. That's how my brain works.
Yeah, I knew I definitely wanted to do something in the creative space. I definitely wasn't sure it was going to be photography, because when I was working in the photo lab, for example, I knew how to process film, print film, do all of that, but I was not a great photographer. I mean, I started working there when I was 15, I think. So I was young. And then I eventually got into photography and started with like a Rebel XT, I think was my first camera. I knew I wanted to do something, but I initially wanted to do more of the audio engineer side and not so much the photography side, but now I kind of do a little bit of everything. So
yeah, it's a good thing you didn't stay with a radio station, because radio stations are terrible these days.
I knew at the time though that it was already going under, so I'm glad I got out when I did. But it was still nice to give them an ultimatum and see how they were gonna make up their own mind.
It was good that I offered you a full-time job, Steven, and you had something.
Basically what I came, I was like, I've got this full-time job offer, or you guys can offer me something full-time. And they were like, sorry, we got nothing. And I'm like, peace.
Speaking of,
I'm not bluffing.
Speaking of, did you look out your front window? Can you pull up your camera?
Why?
I had a special gift delivered.
What?
I really didn't, but wouldn't that have been funny if your lawnmower showed up?
I'm looking at. There's actually packages at my door. So for a second, I'm like, wait, but it's Chewy packages for my dog.
Wouldn't that be funny if I was like, Steven, check there. There's the lawnmower. There's the. How much is that lawnmower?
Giant
$8,000.
Pallet. It's something like that. It's like 10 grand.
I thought about buying you the lawnmower. Then I was like, why
Dude,
would
that mower is total overkill for the size of my property.
But then
I'm
you
on
could
like
go
a third of an acre.
But you know what you could do? You could open the back fence, and you could at
Ride
night
on the golf course.
without the golf course knowing, start cutting the golf course. How funny would that have been if there was a gift out front right now, and it was
that would have been perfectly timed.
I know. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but
you got me excited.
It would have been funny if, and here's your Lamborghini. Thanks for presets.
Well, that was the one RAWtalk back in the day. You surprised me with like a 51.2 from Canon, and I was like, holy shit, this is like a $2,000 lens. And at the time, I was broke.
What did I do? I don't remember doing that. Was a gift.
It was
right?
a birthday gift or something. Yeah.
Did you already have one?
No. Well, you initially gave me the 16-35 version 2, which I already had. I already owned that. And then you returned that and gave me the 51.2 instead.
Wow. God, I'm not an asshole.
And then I never got a birthday gift again.
I don't even know when your birthday is, Steven. Is it July?
It's in July, yeah. What
July
day?
26th?
Close.
25th?
Nope.
24th?
Yes.
Really?
Same birthday as Jennifer Lopez.
I didn't even know any of my exes, but the funny thing is my ex, Maddie, when she had knee surgery
You
and I
didn't
was
know her
taking care of
birthday?
her. I think it's May 17th, 19th, 17th, May something. So I go to pick up her medication at CVS. I have her ID and everything. And they're like, and the birth date? I'm like, I don't fucking know. She's my girlfriend. How am I supposed to know this stuff?
How do you not know it?
I didn't know because I don't pay attention to certain things like that.
I mean, that's
So
kind
I
of
checked her
kind of
ID. I'm like,
important.
yeah, it's right here on her ID, sir.
So when her
Please
birthday came around, you were just like, so what do you want to do today? And she's like, it's my birthday. You didn't get me anything? You're like, no.
Yes, and then I take my pants off.
Here's your gift. A
Here
dick
it
in a box.
All right. Mark Arojal Rodriguez. What advice would you give pro photographer with a very good full-time job? I work 9 to 5 for a big telecom company that provides a very good paycheck and benefits. But on my free time, take pictures of cycling races around, or what are you, Richie? Everybody, Richie. Cycling races around the country. I love the security of my full-time job, but not the job as much. While I love travel to races and meeting new people, but still do something I'm passionate about. The pay that picture provides is not really enough to survive without my full-time job, so I'm scared, hesitant to make the move. What do I need to take to the next level? What is your advice? Thanks for all the content and advice you provide, Mark. This is my website in case you want to take a look to provide more accurate feedback. Velo, V-E-L-O, photox.com. I didn't actually look at your website.
It's velophototx.com.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You said PhotoX.
I have dude, my eyes. Actually, the photos are pretty good on here, by the way.
Nice.
They're not bad. These cycling photos are actually pretty good. Quickly taking a look.
It's tough, though. It's really tough to take that deep dive, and leave your full-time job when it's nice and secure. And yeah,
it is. What I tell people about this is you don't leave your full-time job until you're so busy filling up all of your free time with your other shoots that you're at the point where your job is taking away from these opportunities that are paying, and you just build and build off of it. This is tough because it is a cush job. If you like but you said you don't like it. Now, you get to some point in your life, and if you get to a point where you're like, I hate my job, you got to make a decision on what to do.
Manny Ortiz, right?
When he was a cop?
He was a cop, and then he went full-time into the YouTube world, but we met him when he was still a cop, I think, where he was just leaving.
We got arrested, and we were in the back of the car. He's like, I make YouTube videos too, man. And he was like, so I could let you out if you give me a plug. But so I was one of the people who really pushed Manny to leave his job.
And to get him out of the Sony collective, too.
I was one of the prime reasons.
The catalyst of that, yeah.
I've been one of the catalysts to help Manny not do the work, because he does that on his own,
yes,
but to give him the encouragement to say that, look, there is something here. You are fully capable of going full-time as a YouTuber, but what you need to do in order to make the real money is you need to get out of the Sony collective. You need to be able to talk about Fuji, Canon, Nikon, Sony. Do not pigeonhole yourself into one brand and one brand alone, because now you're alienating the rest of the community. And you're cutting back on the amount of money that you could actually generate. So Manny did take the advice. He did do it. Plus, that's a dangerous job, being a cop, putting yourself in harm's way.
Oh, yeah. So
for you, though, not you, Steven, for this gentle person of Rodriguez, Mark, do the things so sometimes you have to do the things you have to do to enjoy the things that you Wait. Let me take that back. Sometimes you have to do the things that you don't want to do to afford the things that you do want to do.
Yep.
If you really love shooting the cycling cross, then keep shooting the cycling cross and doing that and enjoying it, and then go back to your job. If you hate your job so much, then figure out a way to get paid for the other stuff more. Is that working for an organization that runs these competitions around the country? Is it finding one of those big sponsors that sponsors bike companies? Is it going and working for a bike company and finding your way in there and being a creative for them, doing social media, doing photography, doing video, doing audio, doing editing, doing marketing, doing branding? If that is, and maybe you take a pay cut, but maybe the pay cut is worth it for your peace of mind.
I was going to say the money might be a little rough in terms of comparing it to your 9-to-5 day job when you're shooting cycling races. I'm not sure. Well, unless you're a jack of all trades like you're saying, and you're doing a little of everything for these sponsorships that sponsor the races or a bike shop or whatever it may be. But it's definitely going to be tough in the beginning for sure.
Yes.
See, I feel like the one photography genre that you can really go full on and just quit your job and make money kind of from day one is weddings, newborn photography. That's probably it. Like those two areas, you really can.
Weddings may not be day one, but maybe 6 months down the road when you start getting those weddings to happen.
You can second shoot for a couple months and kind of be ready to rock. You quit that job and start your full time doing weddings. I mean, you really can start making money right away.
So I think what I just yelled out at you, like if you love the travel and you love that, then find a position with what you're good at in one of those things that you enjoy.
Yep.
So if you work for a big telecom and there's something that you can bring to the table to another business, find a way to do it. And like I said, the pay cut may be difficult, but I think what we're seeing a lot from the Xennials, and if you want to learn from the millennials and Xennials, I mean, I guess technically I'm a millennial, but the Xennials is like they rather trade... They rather have their time versus money.
Yeah.
They also don't have a lot of money, but there's sometimes
they also
okay
don't
with
need
that.
a lot of money too because they're single, young,
and they don't use deodorant, so they save there. That's a generalization.
And I don't know. Is Mark married with a family? Is he single? Right. Is he older, younger? I mean, it's a lot harder to jump ship when you have a couple little ones running around at home.
Okay, let's move on. We got a few more. I have 2 questions. You only get one, goddammit, but because you're 15, I'm answering it. Is it worth the income/salary to go professional as a photographer, videographer in today's world, or would it be better to consider a different career such as starting my own company, which I don't even know what the hell that even means, starting my own company. I'm not at all interested in the traditional career path of going to college, get a degree, start life with $60K in debt, and maybe be able to get a job in the field that I ended up hating eventually. And then 2, how does someone put themselves out there when trying to get paid jobs and or trying to get the name out there as mainly a sports photographer? I do other stuff too. I often find it difficult to push myself outside of my comfort zone socially. This is kind of ironic because I enjoy putting myself as a photographer to the limits when taking pictures. Thank you for everything you do. You're amazing. You have pushed me to be not only a much better photographer, but also an overall person. Alexander Chabak. Chabak. Yeah, Chabak. Roar. Look, I understand the not wanting to go to college and putting yourself in debt. That's one thing. The other thing is, which I kind of agree with, and you're having difficulty putting yourself out and getting out of your comfort zone. If you are 15 years old and I have this correct, then that's not something that's easy anyway.
Exactly.
Right? You're always intimidated slightly by adults and everything, and you're not going to get the respect and you're not getting paid. You're just not going to get it
you
at
can
15.
have the biggest camera in the world, but you're 15 years old. It's tough.
I mean, Joey L did good, right? Joey L was able to figure it out.
Was
Joey
he 15?
Lawrence,
Was he that young?
He was super young when he was getting big jobs. Joey's great. His new book should be here today. I got his new book. It's 14 inches by 11, but it's 11 tall by 14 long. It's like my other book, except full
he always
page.
does that. He does like the horizontal style.
He does
books,
do
right?
the horizontal because he has all horizontal images, and I want to take a look at it. He does portraits, but we'll see. I want to see how he does the verticals.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see how he does the verticals in a book like that, which is why he did it without putting images through the gutter, which is obviously something that I would prefer doing. But nonetheless, not being interested in a career path is one thing. That's great. But you have to find something, like I just said to Mark up above, that you love and find a way to infiltrate it and be a source of bringing value to whoever you're going to work with, right? Photo, video, marketing. So yes, it might be hard to make a salary or make it on your own, but maybe at 20 or 18 or coming out of school, you end up doing something that is working for a company like that, and you build up clout, because it may be all right to work for another company, get paid, get health care, and learn a lot and meet
Get
people.
your feet wet, yeah.
Anthony Pepetta. Hey guys, since you're looking for questions, I have a technical question. I shoot with a Canon R6. I use the mechanical shutter. Should I be using the electronic shutter instead, or does it not really matter? I mostly shoot automotive sports. Now, the reason we're answering this, because sometimes we need to take it all the way back to the very fundamentals that we think are basic questions. But again, there's no stupid questions. I mean, there are stupid questions, of course. This is one that maybe Anthony just doesn't realize. There is a difference between the electronic shutter and the mechanical shutter. Especially when you're doing automotive sports or fast-moving things, the electronic shutter might add some rolling shutter, which means your images may look skewed or bendy or not perfect compared to with a mechanical shutter. With that being said, your camera shoots 12 frames a second with the mechanical shutter. I think you're perfectly fine to stay in mechanical until you need to shoot silent or subjects that they're not moving super duper fast. But I've even shot baseball without a problem with the R5 mechanical shutter. Just occasionally you'll get some bowing of the ball.
Well, he's probably doing, I would assume, a lot of panning shots too with automotive sports.
Then it may not
the
even,
electronic shutter would be.
Yeah, maybe
it's
a
gotta
little
be
wonky.
pretty warpy wonky on those types of shots. At least I would assume.
Yeah. All right. We got that out of the way. Next question here. This is weird. Francois, in regards to RAWtalk number 28, you could ask JP if he uses Spotify instead of purchasing the albums from Apple Music or Google Play. It's not exactly the same, but it is using a service that is devaluing the work of artists. I fully disagree 180,000% on this. I use Spotify, and the day I started to use Spotify was the day I bought an album on Amazon Music because I wanted a specific song from a band. I posted about this. I don't know if it was Twitter at the time or if it was an Insta story, which probably didn't exist, or something, where I was like, I just bought this album because I like it. A guy in the tech industry messaged me and said, have you tried Spotify? You could have just listened to that, stream that album. And I was like, no.
Listen to an ad and listen to it for free, yeah.
Right. So I downloaded Spotify and that was it. And no, that's not devaluing an artist. Artists can make money on Spotify. They can make money on Spotify. I'm not going to get into the numbers, but it absolutely is possible to make money there.
Well, they need to be a huge artist, though, with crazy big streaming numbers to make decent money. But
yes, but you weren't going to make good money if you're a small, shitty artist anyway, selling albums and making $1 or less when the record company's making all the money selling the physical product.
My thing is, I support the artists personally by buying a ticket to their show, buying a shirt, buying the actual vinyl record or something like that, an HJ or two here and there. Yep. No, but that's my thing. I tend to still go to shows and support them that way for the most part. But yeah, Spotify, I just can't get rid of it. It's too good.
I love Spotify. Jonathan Watson. Hey, Fro, have you ever thought about offering in-person photography workshops? The answer is I used to do these. I used to do in-person workshops. I did them all over the world. I did it in London. I did it in Manchester.
You did them for like 2 years, right?
I did them, and then I was going to do like a tour.
I remember.
And it just didn't sell very well at the time. And I think this was around the time where I felt like my views were waning and I couldn't reach out to people. I did Nashville. No, I didn't teach in Nashville.
It was like 2014, I think, when you attempted that tour of the U.S.
Yeah. And we did I just maybe didn't push hard enough or want to sell hard enough, but we did. I did like 15 people at these things. I would charge $500 a pop. I did it in London. We had like 20 some people in London. We had a bunch in Manchester. We had a ton. We had Atlanta. We did them all. I did them all over the place. And I would partner with Adam Lerner so that Adam, it was just helpful having someone else. And then when I bought the Fro Factory, I'm like, well, I could do workshops here. And the way that I would do a workshop here is I would set up a projector and we would talk about people's work. I could do it here. Maybe I'll do it one day, but it just is like, it's a lot of effort and more stress because I want to make sure I deliver enough value to people. I would always feel like at the end, did you get anything out of this? Did you learn enough? Because it's like 8 hours or 10 hours of doing this, and I'm hoping that people learned, and there's not a lot of feedback. I know Sam Green took it. A bunch of people took it.
I mean, even if it's a handful of questions that they want to ask you to better their photography, I think that value alone is easily worth the $500, you know, just to get a chance to ask personally one-on-one a question that they've been
Kinda. But I hope that people get enough value out of it, really, because I always feel bad.
Well, I'm sure the other 8
bucks.
to 10 hours worth of content that day, I'm sure it's enough.
Yeah, and I could do it here. And you do make good money at it. You really do, because we've got a park right over there. I could set things up. I could set up downstairs with portraits, you know, different lighting situations that we would set, and then bring in models, and then we could take a walk. We go around the corner, get some heroin, and then we could do.
I never witnessed one of them. I think you were trying to bring me on board to do one when I first started with you.
I remember doing San Francisco also.
Okay. Was I there for that?
No. Yeah. I took Ari to San Francisco with me, and he sat there working on a computer doing nothing as normal.
Yeah, it had to be 2013 or 2014 when you kind of stopped all of that.
Yeah, but I remember I did him in London and Manchester, so they were pretty good.
Man, 10 years ago almost. Damn.
I could do them. I mean, it's good money, and I have a good workflow. Maybe I'll do them again. You know,
it's also tough to do it in person. It's like, do you almost do Zoom calls too?
No, flat out, you do it in person. I'd come up with a price, and I mean, look, if you have,
and do you want to invite people directly to the factory?
Well, that's the other thing.
Do you rent somewhere else?
No, I use the factory as a backdrop. It's a tax write-off.
I'm just saying, people knowing the address of the factory and a diehard fan coming and.
Well, I did the first couple at my house, my old house.
The original at your house.
Loft.
Okay.
At the original loft, I did it, and
I wouldn't want to do that.
No, but the loft was Zach Arias did one there too for me, for himself.
Oh,
he needed a place to do
it,
it, and I was like the helper that day.
You had like no furniture in that place, right?
I had a green sofa. It's the same sofa that's downstairs in shipping
and it's
department.
so tiny.
The funky sofa from funkysofa.com. That's all I had. I had my bedroom.
That's literally all you had. This giant loft and just like one couch.
No, then I got the red funky sofa in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot.
And then I had my projector onto that wall. And I had the popcorn machine.
That weird kitchen area with the stage and everything. It was weird, yeah.
We did my birthday, and then Illinois played my birthday.
I remember. I was there.
All right.
It's actually, I think, on YouTube.
It is.
Right?
It is. We did live stream.
You live streamed it, yeah.
The next audio question. Next question is really for you, Aaron Temblay. What is Steven's go-to audio editing program, and can he share some techniques for post-processing, such as compression and EQ? Audio is the weakest part of my editing process. Thanks, guys. Aaron Tremblay from Tucson, Arizona.
Aaron Tremblay, I actually, we talk a lot on Instagram back and forth. Well, I was on his podcast too, probably more than a year ago at this point. I specifically use Adobe Audition. We're using that right now to record directly into for this podcast. We record in an uncompressed WAV file at 96,000 kilohertz in 24-bit for the highest quality, raw quality possible on our end. And we set it to, in terms of levels, so it barely peaks at like -18 or maybe -12 at most. It's not a 32-bit float file with crazy dynamic range, but it's definitely good enough for us, for our editing. We're not getting super high or super low in a podcast like this, so it's not really needed. In terms of post-processing with Audition, I only use that. And I have a general like multi-band compressor on there, followed by a parametric equalizer. There's a slight denoiser, especially for the room that I record in, because I have a very echoey type room. I don't have great acoustics in this room specifically. I have a subtle like de-esser as well. And then an overall just mastering and vocal enhancer effect that I use in Adobe Audition. So there's a nice rack of 6 or 7 effects that I use when I compress this audio specifically. But when it comes to just Premiere Pro, I'm pretty much using multi-band compressor with a tweak in terms of like the mastering effect. And that's really it. I don't do much. I mean, we don't have much going on at the factory in terms of like acoustic paneling and stuff like that. I wish we did. I wish we had carpeted floors. I wish we had acoustic paneling, because if you ever listen to even something like Photo News Fix, it sounds terrible when it comes to like headphones, because you can hear the echoing, the reverb, all of that. So that's something I would like to tweak in the future if we ever do anything with, say, like Pro Factory 2 or something. Really get a bunch of paneling up and really make that room sound perfect. And we can start using shotgun mics and instead of just standard lavalier Omni mics. But that's my setup for the most part for this production.
Got it, Steven.
But shout out again to Aaron. He's a good dude.
Steven's really good with audio. Steven's really good with a lot of this stuff. So
a lot of it's trial and error. A lot of it's just messing around, see look to see what you should be using in terms of effects on your rack, and start messing around. What's best for your voice? What's good for broadcast? All of that.
Okay, Steven, I'm going to stop all the questions. We got a couple more that we're not going to get to because we are along
pages of questions.
There's still a long way in. We'll save them up. Maybe every quarter or something, we'll do another Q&A where we reach out to you guys, or maybe we'll do a bonus episode. Who knows?
Well, yeah, if you guys want to text in, what's that number, Jared?
I know it off the top of my head, 313-710-9729.
But let us know, is this a type of a format that you would like every couple weeks or every month, or I don't know, whatever.
See?
It's off the top of my head. It's off the top of your head. He's literally holding the Post-it note on the top of his head.
Yeah, that's right. Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you guys helping us take an idea, which was bringing RAWtalk back again, and
consistency,
listening.
Man. Again, I'll say it again. Yep.
To get 10,000 people to download week after week after, well, not the first week, to be exact, it usually takes a couple weeks to get to 10,000, but to have it grow from 4,000 to 5,000 to 7,500 in the first 7 days, and then find its way to like 10,000 is awesome. That's a lot of people listening to something. I hear that 10,000 is really good on a podcast, and we appreciate it. And now we're going to turn it into money, and we're going to monetize it because of you. Thank you.
And I'm going to buy another Tesla and maybe another Porsche and Lambo.
Second Tesla, a Taycan. That's gonna do our year up there, Steven.
Yeah,
you got anything?
We did not skip any weeks, I think, since we started this reboot. Right?
Don't say we, Steven.
I have.
You did.
I have.
I just Vanessa Joy.
You haven't skipped a week.
No. Do you want? You know what I was thinking? I was thinking, are there other? Could I do another show? It's like a podcast network with Vanessa. The problem is, I don't want it to be the same show. I don't want it to be RAWtalk, but with Vanessa.
See, it definitely will be, because you will talk about like the same exact shit in the intro.
No, I won't, because I won't do that. I told her, because I asked her, would she want to do a podcast? And I'm like, we got to come up with an idea that is different than what we do, so that there's another piece of audio that people can listen to.
What would you talk about? What would be like your topic?
That's what we have to figure out.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's what we have to figure out. So I'd like to do another one. It's another
And it still should
series.
be photocentric, I would think.
It should
that's
still
your
be
audience.
photocentric,
Yeah.
but I don't know what it would be about. And that's what I have to wrap my head around, so that there's another piece of audio, another episode. So imagine you do 10,000 downloads on that episode. You start building up these teams, and then imagine what happens when we have two other people that aren't me and you do a show that I let go of some control.
So Vanessa only gets 12% too, right? Is that how it works?
Vanessa may get 13%.
What?
Steven.
What?
She may get a little more. She may not get.
Who's going to edit these Vanessa episodes?
Well, so I knew that was going to be a concern, and that's why moving forward, it would be great to take some shit off your plate to allow you to do certain things, or maybe you could train someone. But then again, who knows what we say during these things that gets cut out? So
you don't even know what I cut out.
Steven has. I mean, the amount of not bleep, the blooper reels from like Photo News Fix. I mean, if you guys left with that footage, there's nothing that would really get me canceled.
Blackmail you and cancel you in a second.
There's nothing there that would really get me canceled.
And that's the thing, man. If you want another editor to come on board, they better sign some NDAs.
That's right. I better get one of those signed. I will actually have one of those made up.
I still have not signed yet.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Did I give you one?
You never attempted to give me one. You attempted to give somebody else one, though.
Who did I give one to?
I don't want to name them.
Are they still with us?
They are not with us anymore, no. They left specifically because of that.
Really?
Yep.
All right. I mean, okay, that's a long time ago. But I guess with new employees, I need to be a little more not forthcoming, but forward thinking with the NDAs, non-competes type of stuff, that you don't share information, because there is. I'm very open.
I think that's fine. I think that needs to be done in today's world.
I'm very open, as you know. I talk. About stuff. And I'm not talking about disparaging stuff. I'm talking about business numbers. I will say things. We talk about people. That's what, everybody talks about everybody else.
Well, and you're very open with your business and everything else, with me at least. So, yeah.
Anything you want to add for the end of the year, Steven?
No, just everyone, I wish you a happy new year, and I hope you can make the best out of it.
You're so awesome, Steven. That's amazing. May all your something be forgot, and all the lang syne. May all your lang syne. May all the lang syne more. God, I sound good.
Ooh.
I think the podcast would be about singing. No.
You have about 5 viewers.
I appreciate you guys for being here. And if you do want to text us, it's the paper's on the floor and it fell behind me.
You threw it behind you. It's
And
313, and that's about all I got.
313-710-9729. If I guess, it's down below. You could take a look. It's in the description.
And again, if we didn't get to your question, I apologize. There were so
'cause your
many that
question
came
sucked.
in. No, we pretty much read all of the questions in order for the most
There's
part.
like 5 more, and I just can't get to it. We got to move on.org.
No, there's more than 5. 5 more, I'll tell you.
Well, 5 more that we picked so far.
So far, yeah, that was only half of them.
All right, Steven, thank you for doing RAWtalk again.
Yep, thank you.
Next year, you're going to get a raise on RAWtalk, 12.6%.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. This is episode number 31, a special edition of RAWtalk to wrap up the year of 2022, where we did 31 episodes. Next year, more. Thank you very much. Jared Polin, frontnewsphoto.com. Bye-bye. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.